Hello and welcome back to the OSM channel. You are currently looking inside my 2-year-old Waterloo FP15A zero clearance fireplace, and this is made by Valcor. As you can see, the fire brick is in pretty poor condition, especially the back panel here. We have a huge crack going up the fire brick here. It's crumbling here, here, here. Have another crack right here. Also have some cracking issues going on the left fire brick panel. So I went on the manufacturer's website, Valcor. I'm out of warranty. These fire brick panels are only warranted for, I think, the first year, so we're 2 years now past the warranty period. Now, what it would cost to get a new one of just the rear panels shipped to the house, $180. These panels are very expensive. I think eventually I will have to replace this, but I'm trying to get as much life out of this as possible. Now, doing some research online, I found this stuff. This is Fireplace Mortar. Repair cracked or chipped fire brick. Repoint joints between fire brick. Repoint mortar joints, made in the USA. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to use this stuff. We'll give this a try and we'll see how well it actually works. So the first thing we need to do is get this crack nice and clean. So get all the ash out of your fireplace, brush off any loose or crumbling mortar or crumbling fire brick. So we have this nice and clean. Next, the instructions say to brush on water and wet the work surface thoroughly. So we'll get this crack all nice and wet. Next, we need to cut off the tip of the tube at our desired angle. So I have a little sponge. I'm just going to get this all wet one more time here. It says to make sure you wet this surface thoroughly. I mean, if it's anything like masonry work, in order to get cement to stick, the surface has to be wet. Now we'll go ahead and start applying this. Now to smooth this over, the instructions state to take a putty knife, dip that in water, and just smooth over the joint. I do see a few spots that I want to add a little bit more mortar, so we'll go ahead and apply more of this stuff. I'm going to continue on with the repair, so try and repair this, and go up through this crack here. Let's smooth out what we just applied. I have a few more spots I want to touch up here, so we have our first layer down. Now, I was reading the instructions a little bit further, and it says if the cracks are deeper than an 1/8 inch, then you're going to have to apply a second layer of this stuff. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to have to do that, so we'll see. But what I would recommend is try and make sure that you keep maybe 1/3 of this left in case you do have to reapply this stuff after we go through our first curing process. So what we have to do now is let this air dry for a period of 24 hours, at least 24 hours, but no more than 30 days. Then we need to start a small fire, keeping that temperature for the first fire below 210 degrees Fahrenheit. Let that fire go until this cures. It doesn't really say how to check when it's fully cured, but so we'll start a small fire, and then we need to increase that fire to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, and we need to maintain that fire for 1 to 2 hours. Then we'll stop burning. We'll check to see if there's any cracks. If there's any cracks, we'll apply this repair mortar over the new cracks. We'll repeat the process again. I know it's a little bit tedious, but then we should be good to go. So I'll check back in tomorrow when this is dry, and we will start our curing fire. All right, so it's the following day, and the mortar is hard to the touch, firm to the touch, I guess. Well, I'd call it hard. You can see that the mortar actually got sucked into the crack in the back here, but I'm not seeing any cracks. It does seem like everything's smoothed out a little bit more, which I think is ultimately a good thing here. So We're going to follow the instructions now to the best of our abilities, so we'll start a small fire, try and keep the temperature under 200 degrees until we think that the mortar has cured. Not exactly sure how to determine if it is in fact cured, but I figure we'll start a low fire, let it burn for maybe an hour, and then we'll build the fire up. Alright, so I'm back a few days later. We had a pretty warm fire in here the other night, and I'm having mixed results. You can see where some of this stuff didn't fuse properly to the fire brick. It kind of bubbled out, and I could take this piece of wood and kind of chip it away. See how it kind of crumbled? But on the other hand, like this crack right here, it's more of a solid black. It appears that where this material didn't fuse properly, it kind of bubbled out and it's kind of like a gray color. As where it did fuse properly, it seems to be kind of like a darker gray / black. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chip away any areas where I feel like this didn't fuse properly, like all in here this didn't fuse properly. So we're going to chip this stuff out and we'll apply a second coat. So it may not look great, meaning that there have been areas where this stuff blew out. I get that. But at the same time, I will say prior to applying this stuff, there was a crack completely down this back refractory panel. This piece and this piece were completely independent of one another. So when I went to rock this back panel, this side shook independently of this side. But after my first application, the panel is fused back together and it's a lot better than what it was. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, clean these areas that I plan to reapply this product to with a paintbrush, and again we'll follow the instructions, get it a little bit damp, apply it, smooth it out with a putty knife. We'll let that dry for probably 2 days and then we'll start a small fire again, and then we'll check back in and see how everything looks then. Alright, so I would like to wrap up this video. As you can see from the ash in the fireplace here, I did have my second curing burn in here last night, and I think I do need to get a hotter fire going in here to fully cure this. What I've noticed is once this product starts to change color, that normally indicates that it's properly cured. Like if we look up here, the product's turned kind of black and brown, indicating that it's fully cured, as where down here it's more of kind of like a darker gray color. Now, am I going to have to do one more reapplication? Not 100% sure. It's possible. When I was having my curing fire, it did start to bubble out just a little bit right here, so I'll produce a hotter fire, I'll see what happens. But I mean, at the end of the day, even if I had to touch this up 1 or 2 more times, I think it's a whole lot better than having to spend a couple $100s on a new refractory panel.